Hello, sports fans. Athletics Chat 84. The good-looking gentleman in the center of the screen is Stuart Weir, our European editor. He is, even with Brexit, he's based in Oxford, England, the intellectual capital of the world. This is Larry Eater. I am in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, the cheese and beer capital of the world. And we are going to solve many, you're noticing I didn't say all, many of the problems in global athletics around the world. And if we get a couple minutes, we'll talk about, Joe Biden and Boris Johnson, but probably won't. Anyway, Stuart, great to see you.
Hi, yeah.
You're in a nice green today, my friend. You look pretty snazzy.
Well, there you are. I just try to do my bit.
That's good. Did you play golf over the weekend?
Not since Friday.
Oh my God! How was golf on Friday?
Part of it was good, and part of it not so good.
Okay, all right. Been there, understand that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, but there we are. It was good to get out.
Good. Okay, so we've got a plethora of topics. You want to start with Karlsruhe?
Yeah. First of all, nice to see some live athletics happening. I had sort of planned to go, but then at the time I had to make a decision. Travel was a bit uncertain, so I just was watching on my computer. The things that struck me from it, I'll give you about four. There's some chap, I think his name is Mondo Duplantis, seems to be quite good at the pole vault. I gather his thought process was something like, this is Karlsruhe. I'm not sure I've done 6 meters here, so I suppose I better do it. And so he added Karlsruhe to the growing list of cities in which he has cleared 6 meters, 602. Danielle Williams won the hurdles, 60-meter hurdles, in a PR of 7:84. The same time as Serena Sambamaela from France, but Danielle got the nod. Now, Danielle is an athlete I'm always quite interested in. She won the World Championship in 2015 when some people would say the strong Americans managed to false start, to fall over hurdles, and this and that. But Danielle Williams did the business, finished first, made no mistakes. She got a medal in Doha. She was injured last year and came fourth in the trials, was an alternate in Tokyo when I actually met her and chatted to her there. And this is the only indoor event she is doing prior to the World Indoors. Then there's Elliot Giles, who won the 800 in Karlsruhe, as he did last year. He said the only difference was that the atmosphere was better because there were spectators. And of course, remember last year, he did a phenomenally fast indoor season. And then, in his words, in an article he did with me, you spend your life planning to get to the Olympics, and I blew it. He just had a bad race in the semi-final, got himself boxed, didn't get out of it, and didn't make the final when he had every chance of getting a medal. So, and last year he opted out of the European indoors just to concentrate on the outdoors. I believe he is planning to do all 4 championships. The World Indoor, Outdoor, European, and Commonwealth. Yeah, he said to me last September, I think we can run more than we sometimes think. I think in reality we can run more often than we think we can. And so basically he was targeting probably doing a 15 at the Commonwealth and 800s at the others. So that would be it. Eric Galway ran a fast 300, 7:26:20 or something like that. And British athlete, high jumper Emily Borthwick, won she was first equal in the high jump with a 191, which is a PR for her. And that is actually an equal world lead. But, as we've laughed at this before, there's an awful lot of season's best the first time people compete. And there's a lot of world leads going around at the moment because not many people have competed. But yeah, I'm told, my friend Jess from World Athletics was there, and she said it was a very well-run event, enjoyable, but it was quite cold outside the arena. So you can give me a weather report, sir.
Yeah, your friend Jess, who we dearly love, former Athletics Weekly digital goddess, she is correct. That's a fun meet. My favorite thing from there was having a pretzel and beer and walk around the track. Those German pretzels remind me of what I grew up with in St. Louis, going to Gus's Pretzels, which is a strong German community. And I wasn't drinking beer at 6, but at 61, I am, or 63 now. I thought that the Karlsruhe meet was the first gold level in the World Indoor Tour. The season had started the week before with Manchester, and we chatted about that. And then our second meet was Millrose, the 114th version of that. They had.
Sorry, have you been to all of them?
I have. How have I been to all of them? I have been to 112 of them. Stuart, thank you. And Stuart's going to be working at the Laugh-A-Lot Club tomorrow. Have the roast beef, and thank you for your comedy routine, sir. Now, Stuart is the straight man in this thing sometimes, I think, and he gets some good ones in. Millrose is a iconic meet. For a long time, it was at Madison Square Gardens. I remember seeing it in the 90s and the 2000s, and I was just very disappointed when the people of Madison Square Gardens just priced themselves out of it. They set it up in such a way that the meat promoters could not make a penny off it. And so they left. And the folks at the Armory were able to save the meet. And a lot of people like myself were wondering how the Armory would do it. But, I've been there several times under the Armory's look, and they fill that stadium up with about 4,000 to 5,000 people, and it rocks. And it surely rocked this weekend. We had two great 3,000s. Elisa Amundsen from Badgerland, from the University of Wisconsin, now running for On Running. She set a new meet record, breaking the old one by 10 seconds with an 8:31 in a close race. In the guys' race, Jordy Beamish, again from On Running, you're going to see a theme here, caught, let's see, who was it? Cooper Tier and Cole Hawker, two Nike pros now running for the Oregon Track Club. They were at the University of Oregon, caught them at the line, and again set a meet record and a New Zealand record. And then we had two great miles. We had Elle Purrier running 4:19:30. The athlete that I suggest you take a look at is Joshette Norris in second place. Not to say Elle didn't kick butt, because she did, but Jossette's run a sub-4 1,500 and a sub-15 5,000 this last season. She's being coached by Chris Fox. She's part of the Boston Reebok Track Club, and she ran a 4:20 I think it's 4:20.8 mile, her best. On the guys' side, what a great race. It came down to Colby Alexander, Oli Haar, who's run well there before, and our friend Josh Kerr, the bronze medalist in the Olympic 1500. Ollie ran 3:50.83, a new Australian record. He now has for Australia the indoor records at the mile, 3,000 and 5,000, and I believe 1,500 too. Josh Kerr broke the Scottish record of our dear friend Chris O'Hare. Chris had run 3:52.91, and our friend Josh ran 3:52.27. But in ninth place, for all us oldsters, Nick Willis, running his 63rd sub 4-minute mile. But that's not the story. Of course, he has now run sub 4 minutes for 20 consecutive years with his 3:59.71. And he's still going to be training, he hopes, 4 days a week with a very nice track club. But he's got his basketball league on Mondays. He's got his son's team that he's coaching, and he wants to have a life. And I believe that the reason why Nick's been around for 20 years is because he has a life. He's his lovely wife, Sierra, who's an 800-meter runner. They have two boys, and he's had the same coach for 20 years, Ronnie Warhurst, probably the most underrated college coach of milers in the country. Bill Bowerman's got a lot of respect and stuff like that in past years. Well, I'm wondering if Ronnie's coached more people from different parts of the world. He's just done an incredible job. But also,
go ahead. Go on. I just got to say, I gather they managed to measure the track correctly.
Yes. Oh, would you like to do the shot put story, my friend?
No. I'd love you to hear you explain it.
Okay, first of all, we love Ryan Krauser. He looks the best in a cowboy hat. How can you not respect a guy who went out when it was freezing in Arkansas and caught, I think, a 3-pound largemouth bass? Total respect, right? So he goes to throw, and I'm watching the meet over here. I'm watching the domestic broadcast with Paul Swangard, Des Linden, and Otto Bolden. And they say he's thrown the farthest in history, 23:38, which is like 76 feet, 8.25 inches to those people, most Americans, who have no idea what the metric system is. And then as the meet ends, we're told that there was a malfunction with the measuring stuff, and his mark goes to 22:50. And if I was Ryan, I'd be an unhappy camper. But Ryan, showing the class he is, says, well, I knew I'm at least 22:50 shape, so that's good. Then I get a note from Becky Gillespie, a very ardent fan and official and commentator on all things track and field. And she said the shot put was so messed up, the lasers weren't working, someone kicked it over, no one noticed it during the meet, that none of the shot put marks are going to be recorded. And I haven't heard about something that bad in a long time. I love the Millrose games, but something happened there. And please, it's like, what if the guys had run in the Millrose, the Whoops Wanamaker Mile, and we said we couldn't record any times? Now, we could watch them compete. People would go crazy. Is it because it's just a field event that people aren't going crazy? Ryan and the crew, the shot putters, are some of our favorite people. When I was a coach, I used to room the throwers and the distance guys because they ate a lot, they trained hard, they like to drink beer, they got along fine. And, most distance runners can respect throwers, and we do. Ryan's just a genius, and he deserves to have his marks recorded. So please, I hope they fix this. But my gosh, and the original title I had on my story last night, Stuart, was not PG. I was pretty upset. We just don't have that often, And so
my two best ones were the time that Jess Ennis set a new world record in the 100 hurdles with only 9 hurdles.
Yes.
And I believe that her world record has not been broken since.
And then also, you remember Emma Coburn running a mixed steeplechase with and her husband Joe had to run onto the track. First of all, convince the officials, because I think I was there going, what the heck's going on? And he finally got the last 3 laps down to got the last 3 laps down to the right hurdles. But afterwards, Emma was going, yeah, I thought there was something wrong. I didn't know what was going on, right? So
yeah, I was there for that one. And once at Crystal Palace, we had a hurdles race where everyone was falling over, and it was noticed that one of the hurdles had just been put in the wrong place. So everyone's stride pattern was shot to pieces. There was suddenly a hurdle when there shouldn't have been a hurdle. But I mean, let's pay tribute to the officials who get it right 99.9 and make the sport possible.
No, it's true. I mean, it's we've been very lucky for most of the events, and I just think that lasers and stuff like that. We're lucky that with lasers in use, I'm lucky that the whole shot put didn't just get liquefied or something. So glad nothing worse happened. But yeah, that was kind of a strange one. Ajay Wilson won her 6th 800 meters. Bryce Hoppel in that 800, I got to tell you, with him and Michael Cerrone, Bryce just looks to me like a kid who's going to win a world championship or an Olympic medal, and he won at the last moment. And then our friend Donovan Brazier dropped down to the 400, finished third to Christopher Taylor from, I believe, the Bahamas, and Christopher won in 46:35, and our friend Donovan ran a PB 46:55, and he had a grin from ear to ear. He was like, gosh, this is my first 400 in 4 years. But the crowd that braved Millrose, they had a battle almost 2 feet of snow in New Jersey and 6 to 8 inches around Fort Washington, around the Armory, and it was terribly cold. And we're next weekend, we've got the New Balance meet, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But why don't you talk about the nice things happening at UKA?
Let me just throw in a couple more things on Millrose. Christian Coleman, Trayvon Bromell, Ronnie Baker coming within 5 hundredths of a second of each other. And I don't think it'll be the last time they'll race against each other this year. And I'm not sure that the finishing order will always be the same.
You are right. What's nice is that's the first race that Christian's been in 20 months. And I thought his start was superb, Stuart. And, he got ahead of Trayvon. And Trayvon looked pretty darn good. So did Ronnie Baker and the Lyle brothers, Noah and Josephus. They all ran well.
Yeah. And just my last thing was just to notice the women's long jump. Nice to see Konisha Burks getting a good season opener, and Keturah Orji. Now, she's, of course, mainly a triple jumper, but told me that just in order to make a living in the sport, it helps if you've got 2 events. So that she is doing long jumps just to have that option as well.
And Tara Davis, won that long jump. And then our friend Sandy, we call her Sandy Cheeks PV. A new winner, Katie Nagiet, had some trouble in the pole vault.
She did.
And Sandy Morris came back and had a real nice clearance and has a world leader. And she looked good.
Yeah, and Shanti Jackson, 718 for a PR.
Yeah.
Daughter of Bashon.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that 60 was won by Aaliyah Hobbs, who looked great in her 711. So it was pretty cool. So it was a very fine meet. What I'm just worried about is what, like you and I have said before, 99.9% of the time the officials do a great job, and unfortunately this shot put, it's gonna, that will hit the New York Times.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if Aaliyah Hobbs can keep running 711, she might get a sponsorship deal.
There you go. There you go. Stuart, you are a marketing genius, my friend. A marketing genius.
Right. Let me tell you about UK
Yeah,
athletics. Now,
please.
we were talking last week about not being in a very good position because with Mark Monroe deciding not to stand for CEO, they really, back where they started trying to get a CEO, they advertised and interviewed for technical director, which is really performance director, but they just changed the job slightly. And they didn't appoint because without no names were mentioned, but the candidates that they thought were most suitable were not available in the time scale that they wanted. So they either had to appoint somebody who was lower down the order or not appoint, and they chose not to appoint. And so they promoted internally on a temporary basis. But they've now actually done two things quite separately, which I'm very enthusiastic about. They've set up a performance management group to help the interim technical director. And on that performance management group, they have a gentleman called Steve Cram. They have Christina Horago, and they have Stephen Maguire. So there you have Steve Cram, who not only was one of the greatest middle distance runners ever, but is currently coaching and is currently commentating. So he watches an awful lot of sport around the world and has just so much to offer in that. You've got Stephen Maguire, who I hope history won't record that the biggest mistake made by British athletics was not appointing him as the head coach last year, meaning that he would often got another job and is probably not on the market at the moment. And Christina Horago, of course, double world champion, Olympic champion in 400, and somebody who always talks a lot of sense. She's done a law degree on top of her first degree. And so I think, again, she will have an awful lot to offer. So you've got suddenly three people with a mountain of experience to help a relatively inexperienced at the elite level acting technical director. But at the same time, they have been advertising for non-executive board members. And of course, the great criticism of the board under Joe Coates and the previous two chairs was that for all their expertise, they were not from the sport. And so they have now advertised, interviewed for, and appointed two non-executive directors. One is Wendy Sly, and the other is Marilyn O'Correll. Wendy Sly is, I could say, best remembered for, but actually she's best forgotten for getting a bronze medal in the 1984 Mary Decker Zola Budd race.
It was actually the silver medal. Silver medal, my friend.
Silver medal. Yeah. Where she, but people talk about the race as about in terms of the ones who didn't. But and Wendy is always quite gracious, but a bit frustrated about that. Maz O'Correll was in the 2008 Olympics, ran at least two world championships, was sort of in the 2012 Olympics, but didn't actually run. But again, she is a clever lady with quite a lot of insights. She has had some issues to deal with in her life, and I think she brings a lot of experience of life as well as a deep understanding of sport. So I think, and I mean, she's mid-30s, And, I just think you've got Wendy, probably 60 something, with a lifetime of experience. And you've got Niles, who is just the generation past the elite ones now. So I think those two will bring a vast amount of wisdom, experience, understanding to the board.
I agree with you. I think that those are wonderful additions to UKA, and I think their experiences. I'm that makes me feel very, very happy that UKA is going in the right direction with that. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, it is also, I don't know what it's like in the States, but I mean, there has been a criticism of UKA over the past 5 to 10 years that it has not been very good at getting people who have retired, keeping them involved. And so here is 4 former elite athletes and 1 former coach who have been asked not just to ride off into the sunset, but to come back and share your wisdom and experience with us.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty impressive. That's really good news. So let's talk, my friend, about Glasgow Dna.
Yeah, that is a 2-hour meet, which is next Saturday. We have got 6 teams representing Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, Spain, and Portugal. And it's mixed men and women, up to 18 athletes in each team. It calls itself fast-paced sequence of events. Only one event happening at the time. And we have high jump, long jump, shot put, 60 flat, 60 hurdles, 800, and then 2 relays, a mixed 4x4 and a mixed 2x2 by 200. And everything counts. You get points for coming last, and you get points for coming, more points for coming first. And the way the points will operate, it will be impossible for a team to have won before the last event. So the last event will decide it. So therefore, it keeps the interest going until the last. The only weakness you'd have to say is that they have not managed to attract the top athletes. I mean, I've only seen the England and Scotland teams, and I think there's only 2 athletes there who were in Tokyo. I mean, it's a long, busy year. Athletes can only compete so many times, and they have not managed to attract a lot of the top athletes. I mean, for example, Laura Muir is running, but Gemma Ricci is not, and none of our top sprinters are in it.
What do you think that's about? Are people just not doing stuff this season, or?
I suspect that it's a combination of things. That some athletes are saying, look, this is a long year with 3 championships. We're not going to do indoors, or we're just going to do 1 or 2 indoor races. I would suspect that this one's quite a low budget in terms of the money you can make here compared to the money you can make going to Karlsruhe, or, I mean, we've got the Birmingham Gold Meet coming up in 2 weeks, and I would expect a lot more British athletes in that, because I think there'll be more money at stake. So, it's athletes are professional, and they have to earn a living.
No, it's it's obvious that with the Millrose Games this weekend, Ray Flynn, the meet director, had a good budget, and he put together some fantastic races. And it does come down to a budget. Next weekend we have the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and I'm just going down the list of characters. Omar McLeod, 2016 hurdle champion, he's going to be in the 60 flat against Noah Lyles and Ronnie Baker. But in the 60 hurdles, we're going to see Devon Allen, who just won in Millrose, against Grant Holloway. So let's see how that opens. And then in the let's see what distance is going to be. They're in the 3,000. You have Jake Whiteman, Spain's Adel Michal, Luis Crujalva, Guatemalan record holder of the 1,500, 3,005. You're going to see El Perrier, and you're going to see Trayvon Bromell, among others. And the New Balance Indoor always has a great field. But what's interesting, again, is it's not in Boston. It's not at the Reggie Lewis. And I believe that's because the Reggie is being used to vaccinate people for the pandemic. And so they're down in Staten Island at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Center, which is where they had it last year. It's got that hydraulic 200-meter track. I saw it. I was there in 2019, got to watch that one. Or 2000, was it 2019? Yeah, 2019 for the U.S. champs. So it'll be interesting to see that one coming up this weekend. And there's always some surprises at that meet. And, there's some tickets available. And so I hope people actually show up, and they should. There's always been a great crowd at the New Balance Indoor when they let people there. Last year was this kind of a difficult year. So take your mask and, stay warm, and that should be a fun one. But, we're just starting to get going on the season, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. Starting to hear a little bit out of Eugene. We've got 5.5 months before the World Outdoor Championships, and we've got just under, a month and a half before the World Indoor in Belgrade in Serbia. And then also in Muscat, Oman, there is a World Race Walking Team Challenge, which our friend Joe Rafferty with Oman Sail, former Adidas executive, is helping put together, because Oman wants to host. They have a domestic marathon, the Muscat Marathon, and they have about 11,000 people a year. 10,000 of them are locals, which is pretty cool for events in the Middle East, because mostly they're elite events and you get a lot of expats and stuff. So that should be kind of interesting. And then we've been watching the athletes being announced for the upcoming 125th version of the Boston Marathon, which will be in April. And I believe it's the only big marathon, World Marathon Majors, Abbott World Marathon Majors, this spring. But I'll have to double check on that one too. But if I had a dream right now, I just want to see our friend Ryan Krauser get a nice measurement on a shot put. Everything else seems to be going well. Some good distance marks. It's nice to see Dayton Ritzenheim, who was a fine athlete from the 5,000 meters to the marathon. And I recall seeing him as a young 15-year-old running the Foot Locker cross country, now coaching a very elite group of athletes for On Running. And, they won both the men and women's 3,000 and the men's mile this past weekend in Millrose. And just some great competitors out there. It's nice to see some of the other brands like Puma putting some things together. And then we just heard today that Nike's back in with the National Scholastic Athletic Foundation, and they'll be sponsoring a Nike indoor high school championship and an outdoor high school championship, which they did for about a decade. And then New Balance took over. Now, New Balance is also doing some meets, so there'll be some rivalries. But I think it's good to give kids in the U.S. Chances to compete. So that should be a lot of fun, too. So we'll keep you up to date on that. But, Stuart, you survived Athletics Chat 84, my friend. Any final deep thoughts today?
No, I'll leave that to you.
Okay, well, I'll try to, blather on for a few minutes. And, Stuart, you have a lovely evening. I hope you get some golf in this week, my friend. And I'll be thinking about you in Oxford, England.
Thank you.
All right. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks for watching Athletics Chat number 84. Thanks to Mike Deering, our production manager, who tries to keep me in control and keep Stuart laughing. Stay safe. Well, hello, sports fans. It's epilogue time, Athletics Chat 84. I know you're excited about it because our production manager, Mike Deering, gives me 5 whole minutes to blab. Yeah, now at 2.5, he warns me, and then there's a taser that is stuck on my chair, and he's in Indianapolis, and he just presses the button. Sometimes he gets a little overly enthusiastic about it, and I jump up and down in the chair, but don't worry. That smoke you see coming out my back, it's just, it's just like a Genesis concert. And if you don't know who Genesis was, ask your dad, okay? Anyway, so here's what we talked about today. Millrose games. Killer 3000s. Amazing Whoop Wanamaker women's mile and men's mile. Some fun 800s. Bryce Hoppel and Aji Wilson. Donovan Brazier, who we've been looking for since the Olympic trials, ran a PB at the indoor 400, his first race on the 400 in 4 years, and won 46.55, sizzling. And that men's Whoop mile, the Wanamaker mile, which is always the last event at the Millrose Games. Our friend Ollie Hoare from Australia set an Australian indoor record, 350.83, to Josh Kerr's 352.27, a new Scottish record, breaking Chris O'Hare's iconic 352.91. And Josh, we featured on our Brooks Daily RunBlogRun spring middle distance training, and he talked about the Scottish young superstar Graham Williamson, and you should check that out today too. Karlsruhe happened on Friday. Our friend Mondo Duplantis, 6:02, first time over 6 meters in Karlsruhe. Danielle Williams, the 2015 world champion in the 100-meter hurdles, won the 60-meter in a PB, 7:84. Elliot Giles ran a very strong 800. And Barhawi Iragawi, 7:26.20 for the 3,000. Oh, so close to the record from Karlsruhe of 7:26.15. And then Eric Brathwaite, 191 in the high jump, and which was her PB. And then the next day was Millrose, 6 to 8 inches of snow in lovely Fort Washington, where the Armory is located. And so the crowd was a little smaller. Windows were open inside, so it was a bit chilly, but the performances were hot, hot, hot. And then some nice news out of UK athletics. Wendy Sly and Marilyn Okoro, both top athletes. Wendy was an 84 silver medalist in the 3,000 meters. Marilyn competed, I believe, in 2 Olympics, world champion medals, and they both been added to non-executive seats on the board of UKA. There's also now a performance review group with Steve Cram, Christina Horago, and Steve McGuire. And I think that'll be good too, because they need a new performance director there as well. Coming up this next weekend is the Glasgow Dna Meet, which is a team event. And the beauty of it is no one's going to know who wins until the last event. So it'll keep people excited. The only down on that event is that, quite frankly, there are not a lot of stars, but it should be a good competition, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And next Sunday is the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, which is being held in Staten Island, the Ocean Breeze AC. You've got Trayvon Burrell, you've got Grant Holloway, you've got Al Purrier, you've got Jake Whiteman. You've got a ton of New Balance stars and athletes from around the world competing. The New Balance Indoor Grand Prix is one of my favorite meets. I've missed one since 1996, and I'm 50-50 about whether I'm going to be able to go this year or not. But I will tell you that you will be able to watch it on NBC TV. If you're around, buy a ticket and go. Okay. And it should be a fantastic event. And I think that we'll be doing some stories about it this week. Watch for some things from Jeff Benjamin. Check out Dave Hunter's piece on the Millrose games and some of the pieces I did on some of the events. And stay safe this week. This is Larry Eder, epilogue for Athletics Chat 84. Stay safe.